This is everything I printed and assembled in 2022. I got my printer in March and it's done a lot of work in the last 9 months. So in this video, we're going to be looking at everything that I've printed. A lot of the things that are shown are going to be assembled and on bases, but there's like 40 or so goblins that I haven't got a chance to basing. There's some daemons and beastmen that I still need to base, and there are dozens and dozens and dozens of misprints. But hopefully this kind of gives you a taste of some of the things that I've gotten up to in the past year. As you can see, most of these are still unpainted like any good hobbyist, but I want to rectify that in 2023. And I feel like I'll have the best intentions, but whether I can follow through or not, that will be the other question. Now let's get started. The first group is the alien hives from One Page Rules, or as I like to call them, I can't believe it's not Tyranids. These are the first models that I printed, and so I had quite a few fails in the process, but learnt quite a lot. You can see I started painting them, but as I took on more projects, they kind of got pushed to the side, and I'm hoping to finish them off this year. I've got a bunch of Jetpack Boys from Puppterswar. I think I pumped out 10, which is probably too many now. I think I wanted a 20-man squad, and GW sells them in like groups of 5, and so I was like, this is a quick way that I can like bump up my Storm Boys. I also printed Puppterswar's Orc Ninjas, and I had this idea of doing like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Orc thing, but never got around to finishing them. You know, it's really dangerous having a printer. You get all these ideas in your head and you start printing because it's so easy, but then you never get around to painting them. Kind of the bane of my existence. Now these goblins are one of my most recent prints, and you can watch the video here. I learned how to support and hollow models as these STLs were unsupported. Yeah, it was pretty fun. I'm hoping to paint these up and run them like as goblins, get some like spider war like riders and stuff like that, and it can be quite the fun army, but we'll see how we go. I've got these chunky boys from Puppterswar. There's one blue war boss, which was my first video where I painted a model. It's one of those things where it's like, I don't know, just kind of give it a go and just to see what happened. It was the first time really using my airbrush to paint. Then I've got these mega knobs, which were a rough attempt at the slap chop, and I further improved on the slap chop method going forward from there. I have a whole bunch of terrain. Some are from the Beastman set by One Page Rules. I really like this bone terrain because it made this easy wall with a bit of character. Took forever to print though. Like I think the fences weren't the same. These towers themselves were like 8 to 10 hours or something per like bit. And I've printed quite a bit of the Beastman range from One Page Rules. I've got these warriors and archers painted. I really like the Cyclops that I painted. Like I don't mean to like, I know toot my own horn or anything, but this was really fun, particularly the skin. Like just kind of really trying to push my ability in terms of highlighting and layering. And so I'm hoping to do a bit more of that and try to get these all finished so I can have a completed Beastman army. Here are some knights that are painted by Puppterswar. I haven't really had many kind of space marine models, and I thought I'd like to give it a go with just that, you know, sharp edge highlights. It's kind of similar to the Tau that I own. I need to finish them off and just really practice edge highlighting because it's a skill that I'm not too good at. Here's an Orc speeder where I tried the proper slap chop method. I kind of like the idea of like Star Wars and Orcs combined. Pretty happy with it, but it could use some highlights, and you can check it out here. One of my favorite Orcs to print was Creality and Boy by MrModulork. These were really fun, and they were the first models I printed since breaking my ankle late last year. I really enjoyed spending time on this, and you can watch the video above. I really think it's taken my ability to paint orc skin to the next level with recess shading. Finally, the big boy, the Avatar of Plague. This was OPR's legendary model for their December release, and I had this crazy idea to attempt to print and paint it in 2 weeks for their painting competition. This video was a huge endeavor, and the link will be above if it has been released, but if it hasn't, subscribe and you can get notified when it comes out. It'll probably be released like 2 to 3 weeks after this video. I really enjoyed the painting process for this, but it was a way bigger task than I anticipated, and I feel like I could have done more highlights and really pushed the variation and contrast even further, but I just didn't have the time. And so that's all I've printed in 2022. Hopefully there's just random clips of all these other things that didn't have time to be mentioned. I think this year I'm gonna aim particularly for quality over quantity. Like I just don't have all this space for all these models, and I just really need to get more printed and like turn that gray into like play. I don't know. Didn't know where I was going with that. If you'd like to watch another hobby video, you can click over here. Otherwise, thank you for watching and happy hobbying.